Hey everyone, we're going to be talking about these boots here today, but I also have a new piece of furniture to set up in our little studio videoing space that we've got down here, so you're just going to have to endure what I'm doing down here while I'm doing that. So I have noticed a lot of videos online about the Blundstone Chelsea boots. Now, the Blundstone Chelsea boots, and the Redback Chelsea boots, they are very, very good work boots, and I have absolutely no issue with them whatsoever. But I've never actually owned a pair of Blundstones or a pair of Redbacks, and the reason being is I have actually got a loyalty to another brand, and that brand is ROSSI Boots. So ROSSI Boots are actually a very heritage brand in Australia as well. They have been around since 1910. So ROSSI Boots have actually been around since 1908. Yes, 1908. They were started in a backyard by a guy called Arthur Rossiter in Adelaide, which is actually where I'm from. So Arthur actually started his boot company by actually making sports shoes. So he started making sports shoes in his backyard, and 2 years later he had opened his first factory. And from there he pretty much just went from strength to strength, but his company's biggest jump into the big time was when they actually started making boots for the Australian Army in World War I and World War II, which obviously increased their production massively. It introduced new designs for them, and they became much more renowned. How weird is that? They've got a cotton glove that they've put all the screws and things inside of. What? A cotton glove. Their army boot heritage is a real source of pride for them. As a matter of fact, they actually produced about 110,000 pairs of boots for the Australian Army over that period. It always looks simple when you see it in pictures, and then you get the instructions, especially stuff from overseas where English is the second language, and it's yeah, it takes a little bit of interpretation. After World War II, in the 1950s, ROSSI introduced their probably one of their most iconic boots, which was the desert boot with the ripple sole. As a matter of fact, when I was in high school in the 90s, the ROSSI ripples were hugely popular with all the different groups of people at school, whether it was the trendies, whether it was the bogans, whether it was the sports kids. They were a very popular boot, and I probably need to go and get myself a pair. I haven't had a pair since I was a teenager, so. But they're still sold today, and they're still one of the most popular boots that ROSSI makes. brilliant, isn't it? This was advertised as a portable clothes rack, and yet it states that it should be permanently fixed to a wall. Not what I needed it for. I think we'll just have to risk it and see how we go. I think I've got all the parts aligned. All right, let's pop you down here. Oop, that's a little bit wonky. Oh, that's not it. All right. So jump forward a few years to 1993, and they introduced a new boot which to this day remains their most popular their most popular boot of all time. Still their highest selling boot to this day, which is the Endura Chelsea work boot. This boot is, like I said at the start of the video, it's very similar. It's a very similar design and shape to both the Blundstones and the Redback boots. But first of all, because of its history and the fact that it comes from my hometown, I have a very, very strong relationship with it. Growing up, everyone I knew, I have family that used to work in the vineyards, that used to work in farms and things like that, and everyone, all those people would wear Rossi boots. Are these as good as Blundstones, or are they, or Redbacks? Well, in my opinion, yes, they are. I have been wearing Rossis for years, and they're incredibly well made. They basically have a top grain leather upper. The top grain leather, it is around about 2.2 to 2.4 in thickness. Their standard Rossi boot, Endura boots have a kip leather, which is leather made from younger cows, which apparently means that it's much more flexible and is still quite durable. I'm not a leather expert, so I can't compare it. I don't know whether calf leather or actual like steer, adult cow leather is any better or more durable, but the leather they state they use is kip leather. These ones are a little bit different though. So they're kip leather, this one is a special edition that they've actually released, and it's actually Australian leather, both grown here and tanned here in Australia. So it comes from cows from the Naracoorte Coonawarra region, which I actually have a personal relationship with because as a teenager, I actually used to work in the vineyards down there during school holidays, and Naracoorte is actually where I have family, so I absolutely loved that connection. But also Geelong is, you know, only an hour or so away from Melbourne, so the tannery in Geelong where these actually get tanned is not far from where I live now. It is chrome tanned leather, but it is very, very hardy. The thing I find interesting, I haven't got them now, but I did try on a pair of just the regular kip compared to the Australian grown and tanned leather. I think the Australian leather is maybe possibly a little bit thinner and more flexible, because I've found that in these ones they stretched a little bit more than my previous ones. So the leather is very good. It is oil infused, so it's very water resistant. It's not waterproof because it's not lined, but you can use like a waterproofer on it. And as long as you keep it oiled, it's fairly water. The leather is very, very water resistant. They have the leather pull tag, so which is stitched on, and it's actually part of. If you have a look, it's actually part of the leather on the back. So it's not like it's a separate thing that's been stitched on there, and so it's really, really robust. And they also have the fabric pull tag on the front, and so it's really easy to get them on. They're absolutely fantastic for that. The elastic as well is triple stitched at the top, so it's really, really strong. According to Rossi, the elastic is also waterproof, and it's also been tested, I think up to, apparently they test them up to, they need to be tested up to 30,000 flexes. So it's, and I've been wearing these for about 6 months now, and there's no like slacking in the elastic at all. It is extremely strong. Yeah, it's really well made. You'll notice the double stitching. You've got the double stitching all the way around in the different stitching points. So it's very, very well made there. It is leather lined on the tongue, but if you have a look inside, it's not actually leather lined anywhere else. So it's really just a tongue, and it's really just there, or the tongue area. It's really just there to make it easier to get them on and off. Of course. It was bound to happen. I have put the support bar in the wrong holes. So I've got to take them off, move them up, and then I can put the shelf in. Always happens. So the leather's all well and good, but what about the outsoles and the soles of them? Well, the outsole is a layer of nitrile, which is a rubber, plastic sort of rubber compound that's extremely durable. It is oil, fat, acid resistant. It's also very slip resistant. I use this a lot when I'm gardening and walking up steep, muddy, slippery slopes. The grip is actually really good on these. Inside, basically, there's the outer nitrile layer, On the inside, on the midsole, which is around this area in here, it is a polyurethane foam, which is quite durable. It's much softer, and it's the same type of thing that you would find in soles on a pair of sneakers. So it's really, really impact resistant. It's very comfortable. And they actually even have little air pockets just in the heel. So a bit like you would find on, you know, maybe not to the same extent on a pair of Nike Airs, or but similar to the way they make Doc Martens, where they basically have little air pockets that actually will give you a bit of air cushioning as well. So it's very, very, very comfortable, very resistant. It is all cement constructed, which basically means it's not stitched, it's all glued, but it is extremely strong. Like I said, I had a pair of these previously that I wore for years, and the sole wore down well before any sort of any chance of the leather coming away. So it's very, very well constructed, extremely strong. It does have an insole, just a foam, what they call it their Solscape Contoured Comfort Ventilation Cells Antibacterial Insole. Lots of lovely paraphernalia on there. It's actually pretty good. It's not, you know, it's not 100%. It does, you know, there are certainly better ones out there. It's nice that it actually is removable, but it's nice that they've actually, rather than just giving you a cheapo piece of foam, or, you know, some insoles you get are just pretty much like a piece of cardboard. This is actually a really nice, squishy insole, which is very comfortable. So they're very well constructed. They're very, very good boots. Sizing on these is, it is a large make. So my shoe size is normally US 10, UK, Australian 9. These are a UK Australian 8. So definitely downsize from like your sneaker size. They are quite a large make. They used to be, so you might need to double check this, and if you can try them on first, I would certainly recommend it. They do have half sizes, and previously half sizes on Australian shoes actually just used to be width. They didn't actually change the actual length of the shoe. It was just that if you went a half size, it was a slightly wider shoe. Rossi now states that they are true half sizes. I personally tried on a size 8, and a size 8.5, and they were very comfortable. And when I just went for the regular size 8, they when I initially put them on, they just felt the tiniest bit firm. But that's actually what you want, because there will be stretch in this leather. It is, because it's an oiled leather, there is going to be stretching on it, especially with kip leather, because kip leather, like I said, is calf leather, so it is a bit more flexible, which makes it very comfortable, but it will stretch a little bit more than your really thick, you know, super thick cow leathers. So certainly go down one size, and you want it to be firm, and because being that it's a Chelsea boot with the elastic is all that's really gripping onto your foot, and it does have a counter cover. It's a bit hard to see in there. It does have a counter cover inside, which does help it hold onto your heel as well. But you don't want it to be loose on your foot at all, because it will wobble around. It won't grip your foot as well if it's too loose to start with. You definitely want it to be firm and allow for that little bit of stretch, because you don't want, because like I said, it is a larger fit and you don't want it to be too loose on your foot. So the question then becomes, why should you choose Rossi boots over Blundstones or Redbacks? Really, it's up to personal taste. Initially, I mean, look, if you can try them all on, go ahead and do that and see which one feels the most comfortable. In my experience, they all feel about the same. I can say from personal experience, the Rossi boots are incredibly hard wearing. They are really well constructed. They're very comfortable. The main seller for me, first of all, is because of my personal connection to them. They're from where I grew up. They are an Australian company that has been a heritage company that has been around for over 100 years. The other thing that I really like a lot, they do still make some of their manufacturing has been moved overseas. They do make a lot of boots, I think, in Indonesia and I think possibly Vietnam as well. But they still have a factory in Adelaide, and they still do make a number of their boots here in Australia. And the thing that I've really loved about them lately is the fact that they are offering all these different leather options. The fact that they're not just using their overseas leather, they are actually sourcing on some of their models. So this one, yeah, they are still sourcing on some of their models the Australian grown and Australian tanned leather. This particular model, which is the Endura 303 Redwood, is a model that's made here in Australia using Australian leather. I believe they're 101, which is the black, and some of them are made here and some of them are made in Indonesia. I think they have another colour, claret, I think it is, which is also their regular, it's called a 303, but it's essentially the claret version of the 101. Also, some are made here in Australia, some are made in Indonesia. But there's this model, there is a tan version of this that's also Australian made, Australian leather. They have also just released a rough out version, which I would absolutely love to get. As a matter of fact, they released it about a month after I bought these, and I probably would have gone with the rough out if I had known they were going to bring that out. But be that as it may, it's something I can get down the line. They do, there's an Italian leather version that they do. And on a bunch of their other, they do a whole range of different boots as well. They've got bush boots, they've got shearers boots, and they're even doing special editions of some of those as well. So they're an Australian company that, yes, like all manufacturers, have started moving a lot of their production overseas. They use imported and overseas materials, but they are a company that are staying true to their heritage. To a certain degree. A lot of companies have just moved everything overseas, and that's why I love Rossi boots, because yes, you have to choose the right models, but they are still making a truly Australian boot by an Australian company made in Australia using Australian materials. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. You're going to see more of this as time goes on. Thank you. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Subscribing and liking really helps us push out and helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for the support, and look, put comments in. If you don't think these are as good as Blundstones or Redbacks or another Australian brand, let me know and we can have a conversation about it. The great thing about YouTube is we can have a conversation and we can learn new things and get introduced to new products. So my recommendation is give the Rossis a go, but let me know if there's something that I haven't tried that you might be recommending to me, and maybe I'll learn something too. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time.